Welcome to Tidy Up Texan, and I am Nicole. And today we are reclaiming the living room, getting all of the clutter out, deep cleaning, and finally organizing these shelves. If you are new here, hi, welcome. I recently started this channel back in December. I am a mother of two adult sons. I am a former professional carpet and upholstery cleaner. And now I am a disabled homemaker, minus the cooking. I do not cook, I clean. And we purchased this home a little over 2 years ago with my mother in law, who has now passed. And my sister in law, who also resides with us, is now the other half of the owner. So we are in the middle of moving my sister-in-law down into my mother-in-law's former room. So most of the stuff you see here today are items that are being transferred from room to room and has temporarily landed in the living room. So my plan is going from section to section, working my way around the entire room, removing whatever doesn't belong in here, and cleaning every inch of this floor. Oh, and if you didn't already know, we have a lot of animals in this house. 12 to be exact. My sister-in-law's animals who reside downstairs are 3 cats and 2 dogs. And our animals stay upstairs. We have 4 cats and 3 dogs. So needless to say, there is a lot of fur in this house. And a lot of it gets trapped under the furniture. So I wanted to make sure I got under everything. If you're wondering what I'm using on the mop, I am using a little bit of Pine Sol and a little bit of bleach. I like to make sure everything gets clean and sanitized. And don't mind the dining room behind me. We will get to that next week. As much as I'd like to get to that today, I really have a bad back. So this living room really took it out of me, and it took a couple days for me to recover. All right, the first section is complete. Moving on to this empty section. We're just going to get the floors nice and clean. And I had planned to put those nesting tables that you see off to the left in this little empty wall right here. But I ended up moving it elsewhere. I didn't like how it looked, so it is not going to stay there. There was a bunch of old files of my mother-in-law's set onto these nesting tables, which my sister-in-law still needs to go through. So I'm just going to throw them in a box at the entryway so she can go through them. And these tables were super dusty. They had never been cleaned since we brought them in. They were sitting in my mother-in-law's room. My mother-in-law was disabled, so she wasn't able to get any of that clean, so we are going to be cleaning it now. But one of the nesting tables was falling apart as I was cleaning it. So eventually I will have to go grab some wood glue and get this table fixed. And you see my little helper there, that's August, the little Siamese cat. He is still kind of a kitten. He's a little over a year old. And he is just curious about everything. He watched me clean. He chased after the vacuum. My sister-in-law, she actually found him on the side of the road when he was just a little tiny baby. And he is just a handful. He is best friends with my sister-in-law's two little corgis. They absolutely love him. That's it, their baby. This little guy, he terrorizes the other kitties. But on the same day, he was in my sister-in-law's room downstairs here. There is a hanging lamp above the bathtub. It's like one of those pendant lights, and he must have saw a bug or something. He parkoured off that light and shattered it into the bathtub. And we know he's the guilty party because he's the only one that acts a fool. These boxes were actually shoved into that closet behind me, but it is tornado season here in Texas, so we need that closet to be empty at all times because that is our safe spot. And the week before, we had a couple tornadoes come pretty darn close, so everything just got pushed right out to this section here. Unfortunately, I can't make any decisions on where this stuff goes, so I'm just going to put it aside for my sister to go through and put away. This little TV right here, we are going to actually put that in our bathroom. Ryan is a huge, huge Dodger fan, and he wants to be able to take a bath and watch his Dodgers. So that TV is going to be going in our bathroom for him to watch. So none of us are a fan of the wall color or the tone of the wood and are thinking about painting, but we can't decide on what color to paint. So I would love to get your feedback. What would you put in a living room that wouldn't clash with the fireplace? And white isn't an option. I was thinking maybe a soft gray and maybe a sage green on the woodwork, but I don't know. What do you think? This is the closet I was saying is our little safe space. It is actually under the stairs. And it's pretty big, but not quite big enough for three adults, three big dogs, two little dogs, and seven cats. But fortunately, we have another small bathroom down here as well. So we use that little room also. But the bathroom is very, very tiny. It's probably about 3 foot by 4 foot. But one day we will get a shelter put in. That is the goal. All right, section 3 is complete. Moving on to behind the little sofa here, clearing out this space and cleaning up these floors. And the only thing I'm keeping back here is that printer stand, the shredder, and some cat toys. That little pink basket you see on the floor is for all the kitties. And the printer was super, super dusty, so I'm going to clear out the shelves, wipe them down, clean off the printer itself, and then, of course, vacuum up all this fur and give it a good mopping. So, my friends, I am not typically somebody who talks a lot. So, doing these voiceovers can be a little tough for me. I don't ever know what to say. In fact, I am so quiet. People used to ask me if I was mad or they thought I was stuck up because I just wouldn't talk to anybody. But growing up, I was painfully shy, very socially awkward, horrible social anxiety. And when I do try to talk to people, my brain just goes blank. I have no idea what to say. And that hasn't changed much. So it literally takes longer to do these voiceovers than it does to actually do the cleaning, which is one of the reasons it took me so long to start doing these videos. I've been wanting to do YouTube for years. I absolutely love cleaning and I love watching cleaning videos. But when I watch other creators, I am just blown away about how they can easily talk. And I'm here racking my brain trying to figure out what to say. So, anyways, I've got this table cleared off, and underneath is a bunch of workout equipment that I'm going to relocate. I just don't like how it looks under this table. And although I start putting everything back on the table, I think it looks too cluttered, so I am going to relocate those items as well. I'm not a big fan of a bunch of stuff sitting on surfaces. Couple things for decoration, that's fine, but there was just way too much stuff on this table. You couldn't even set down a glass. So once I get to the shelves behind me, I'll grab a couple little knickknacks and put them on this little table. I had planned on vacuuming the sofa once I was done with the floors. However, the vacuum battery died on me, so luckily I was able to finish all the floors. But my sister-in-law, when she got home, she ended up vacuuming the sofa for me. And this little side table right here, we're using as a coffee table just because at the moment we don't have anything to use as a coffee table. There are a couple coffee tables in our warehouse, but they need some desperate cleaning and repainting. So this is what we're going to use for now. And eventually, I would love to put a rug in here. We hadn't gotten one before because my mother in law was in a wheelchair, so we just needed to have all the floors cleared so that she can roll herself around with no issues. So having a rug wasn't optional for us at that time. But now that she's gone, once we get the living room painted, then we will decide what color of a rug we would want to put down. And since there is still three of us, we do all have to agree on what the theme of this room will be, since this is a common area. All right, let's get behind this sofa before we head over to the shelves. And everything on the shelves are all things that my mother in law loved. So we are going to make the shelves dedicated to her. But there is so much up there, we are not going to be able to use it all. So I'm just going to pick out the things that I know that she really loved and things that made sense together. And the rest I'll just put away. And as you can see here, the entryway to the kitchen is just in an odd spot. So I wanted to get the sofa off the wall and keep it center with the fireplace, but it just did not work out because our TV is too big and the sofa was just way too close. So I have to put it against the wall here and kind of blocking portions of the entry to the kitchen. So it is what it is. It's not perfect, but it works for us. This is where I start putting the things back on that little side table, and I just don't like it. So it is not going to stay like this. And as you can see, little August still hanging out with me, looking all sweet and innocent, and he's not. All right, finally moving on to these shelves. So everything on these shelves has pretty much just been shoved up here for us to decorate later, which is going to be now. When we went through my mother-in-law's room, we took out all the things that she really loved and stuck them on these shelves to be decorated. So I'm going to do the best I can to make little vignettes of all the items, trying to keep like items together, just making it look more cohesive. She was a big part of this household, and we wanted to make this a focal point of her memory. So I'm taking everything out and I'm going to put it on this little folding table so I can kind of organize it, see what we have, and I'm going to try to put as much as I can back on the shelves. However, there was a lot, so I did have to edit a few things out. But in the end, I think it came out pretty nice. So there was a lot of mugs. So all the ones that say mom on them, I'm going to put on this shelf with her urn. And she really loved rainbows. So I'm going to put this big jar that has a little rainbow on it. I thought it gave a little bit of height and it looked really nice with these mugs. These glass ornaments are hard to tell what they are, but they're little angels. So there was two glass angels and then a little metal one, a candlestick holder. So I put all the angels on that next shelf. And then she has a bunch of little stuffies that I can't remember what they're called, but I know they're quite popular. But they're all from the cartoon Winnie the Pooh. So I'm putting all the Winnie the Pooh items down here. And then for the top shelf, there was a couple of things I tried, but I didn't like it. And so I tried grabbing from the shelves on the other side of the TV, but I didn't like that either. Here are the books I grabbed from the other shelves, but it just didn't look good. So I end up not even putting those up at all. But I found another little ceramic rainbow, so I put that up there. But it's an item that you have to hang on the wall, so I grabbed these little bookends. They're really heavy, so I kind of leaned it against one of the bookends. I found a few decorative apples that I put at the top, and we will call that one a day. So on this side, there was a lot of small trinkets. So I, again, took everything down, kind of assessed what was up there. And there was a few things up on the very top that you can't see on the screen of some rabbits, some large rabbits, which I had brought down. And then I also noticed that the shelves weren't equal to the shelves on the other side. So I had to fuss with the top shelf to bring it up a little bit to match the other side. So you're going to see me change a few things quite a bit. And this is when I realized that the shelf was still not high enough. So I had to fix it yet again. So that bottom shelf there where I have the rabbits, there is a hole there with a bunch of wiring. We're not sure what all the wiring goes to, probably the surround sound that used to be up before we bought the house. And it turns out that rabbit covers it perfectly. So I end up keeping all the rabbits on the bottom shelf here. And then for this shelf, I put all the little decorative boxes up here and also these little ceramic flowers. And then the next shelf, I put all the smaller little trinkets together in little vignettes. On one side, I put all the little animal ceramics, and on the other side were a bunch of little homemade items. Looked like maybe they were Ryan and his sisters when they were kids. And then for the center, I put little filler. There was that little sign and then a wall art that I put at the bottom at first, but then it looked like it just was too empty, so I put that up onto that second shelf. And as you can see, I kept trying all these little items, but it just didn't look good. So I ended up on that sign and the little wall art down below. And this last shelf I just did not know what to do with it. There was still a lot left, and so I was trying all different items. None of them matched. So I ended up putting the remainder of the mugs up there, which were Disney mugs. So I made a little vignette of Disney mugs on the last shelf. And finally, I moved these nesting tables over here on this corner and put a few of the items that were on the shelves here. And now I'm finally finished. And do you remember what it looked like before? Boxes and boxes of stuff, things just thrown onto the shelves, and a whole lot of fur. Now the boxes have been relocated to where my sister-in-law can go through all of them. The shelves are nicely decorated in memory of my mother-in-law, and the whole room is clean and clutter-free. And if you made it this far, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for watching and supporting. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you haven't already, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you're not already subscribed? And saying hello in the comments really helps out my channel. I really love doing these videos for you. And I hope it has inspired you or motivated you to tackle a room in your home, or if you just enjoy this type of content. Oh, and happy Mother's Day to all my mothers watching today. And especially to my mom, I love you and I miss you so much. I know you're watching. And to everybody else, until next time, bye. Welcome to Tidy Up Texan. If you are new here, hi, welcome. I am Nicole. And if you are returning, I so appreciate the continued love and support. And today we have a big cleanup once again. In last week's video, we tackled the living room. And today we are tackling the dinette area. And as you can see, we still have piles and piles of things that came out of my mother-in-law's room. So there are piles that are going to be going out of the house and piles that need to find a new home. So let's begin by getting everything out, and then we will do a thorough cleaning. If you're wondering what all the furniture is outside this window, that also came out of my mother-in-law's room, and we do either need to sell some of it or just relocate it. They are pretty big, heavy pieces, so taking them down to the warehouse is a task, and nobody really wants to do that task. So for the most part, the piles along the windows, those all need to be taken out. Things that we just don't need. So they're either going to go into the garbage or put away out in the warehouse for later. The shelf that you see off to the left, not my favorite, but it is for all our extra appliances. And for the most part, everything is used on a regular basis, but won't fit into our overloaded cabinets, which hopefully we will get to soon. So everything on this table really just needs to be relocated. A lot of it my sister-in-law has plans for, so I am just going to relocate it to the main dining area for her to decide what she wants to do with it. And as for the table itself, it's not necessary in this room. We don't ever dine in here or use it as a prep area or anything like that. It's just sentimental. It was my mother-in-law's, and Ryan and his sister definitely wanted to keep it in this room. I just wanted to say in my last video, I got tons of feedback and I so appreciate it. Getting to know you all and hearing constructive criticism really helps me out. I am still new at this and I love hearing your thoughts. And since I am a extreme introvert, doing these videos is extremely out of my comfort zone. Like I said, I am a very quiet person and talking is not my strong suit. So thank you for all who have commented. I so appreciate it. Everything I'm putting into this blue basket is all little odds and ends. I have no idea what they are. So I'm going to put that basket in the dining room, and then the red basket is full of hair products. And my sister-in-law, she is a hairstylist, and so she plans to take that to her work. So I'm just going to place it in her room for now. Then give this table a nice thorough cleaning. There's a lot of damage on the table, but it is clean. But ideally, I would love to sand this table down and give it a nice new finish and just make it look pretty again. Okay, so this area back here behind me is our coffee bar. This area does get used quite often and it is just filthy. So I'm taking everything off, giving things a wipe down and taking this white fabric off the bar and giving the table a nice cleaning also. So off to the right is an espresso machine, which I do like espressos, but I have no idea how to use this machine. I think my sister-in-law has maybe used it once or twice, but we need to learn how to use it and utilize it. And maybe that's a sign that I am getting old because this machine does intimidate me. So I have a question for y'all. We are all big coffee drinkers here. I have a Keurig in my room, but Ryan and Morgan, Ryan's sister, they use the coffee machine down here. And we are in Texas, and there is a lot of mosquitoes and flies. And I've heard that taking out dry coffee grounds will deter mosquitoes and flies. Has anybody heard this? Has anybody used this? Does it work? We need help here. Once I'm done putting everything back on the coffee bar, I'm going to be working underneath it. We have the dog bowls, some trash cans, way too many of them, so I'm just going to put one of them back once I sweep and mop over here. So I noticed as I was putting everything back, this brand new trash can has already gotten dirty. Morgan's little corgis, they are notorious for getting into the trash. So we had to come up with a new trash can that they couldn't get into. And believe it or not, the little Siamese cat that you see running around here, he likes to help the corgis out every once in a while and knock over stuff for them to eat. On two separate occasions, Ryan was cooking. He had put out some ground beef, a big old chub of ground beef to defrost for a while. Little August, the little Siamese cat, he decides that he's going to help out the corgis. Not only does he first open it up for the corgis, but then he pushes it off, and the corgis decided to eat more than half of that chub. Ryan was so mad. And then the second time, Ryan had left a baking sheet full of chicken that he hadn't yet seasoned. And August decides to grab a couple pieces and throw it on the floor for the dogs. Luckily, it was only a couple pieces, but as you can imagine, Ryan was not happy. I'm telling you, these three are partners in crime. All right, now that we are all done vacuuming everything up, I am going to give this a good scrub with the mop. And of course, the worst part of it is under the coffee bar, which you can see that big old spill right underneath. However, I was pleasantly surprised that Morgan and Ryan have been keeping up with cleaning the floors, so it wasn't as bad as I had anticipated it would be. So if you've been here for a while, you know I don't typically come down here. I do not do well in clutter, and the kitchen, and as you can see, all the stuff that was in here usually is pretty much in here anyways. Not so much the exact items, but it's always cluttered. So I don't come down here very often, but I wanted to get these areas cleaned up really well. The kitchen, on the other hand, that is Ryan and Morgan's area. They are the ones who, well, Ryan's the one who cooks, but Morgan does like to bake. So she has a lot of stuff in here. And we do have three households full of things in the kitchen. So I have to pick my battles, and the kitchen is a battle that I don't want to pick. However, everyone does agree that it does need to be decluttered just a little bit so that things fit and things have a home. So eventually there will be a video on that, and Morgan and Ryan will be included in that declutter video. But we are finally finished, and here are the before pictures. Piles and piles upon piles of stuff. It almost looks like an entirely different room now. Almost to the point I actually don't mind coming down here once we get to the kitchen, that is. But no, this makes me extremely happy to see. No more clutter, nice and clean, just the way I like it. And of course, I am so appreciative that you decided to spend your time here with me today. All the love and support just means the world to me. So thank you. Welcome to Tidy Up Texan. I'm Nicole. And today we are going to be working on my office turned storage room. And as you can see, there's a lot going on in here. When we were preparing Morgan's old room for our new guest, Morgan wasn't completely moved out. And because it was so unexpected, we needed a temporary solution for where all of her things are going to go. So they all landed in my office. But since I don't really need an office anymore, I want to transform this room into a guest room. So the goal for today is to get all of my inventory out and start arranging this room as a guest room. So first I want to clear some space so that I can get to the back wall, which is all of my inventory. For now, I'm pulling all of Morgan's things out and lining them against the wall in the hallway. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with all this inventory. I might just end up donating everything, or I might add it to a future garage sale that we must have. We have so much stuff in our warehouse that we have to go through and get rid of. But I do know there are a few things in my inventory that I would like to keep, so I plan to quickly go through each bin and pull out anything that's obvious that I want to keep. And as for Morgan's things, I'm going to have to put most of it back, but I want to put it in a way that's easy for her to go through and transfer back down to her room. But I also know that's going to take some time, so I'm going to go ahead and stage the room with her things. Now the bed frame is not Morgan's, that was actually my son's old bed, so that will stay in the room indefinitely. I don't have a mattress for this bed as of yet. However, the Murphy bed downstairs is also a queen size bed, so I might use that mattress temporarily. Alright, I'm almost done taking out most of Morgan's things before I start tackling my things. And everything that I'm taking out of mine will not be returning to this room. But I'm trying to make as much space as I can to start moving things around. All right, we can finally get to my inventory. This first container is empty, so I'm going to use it to hold the things that I am keeping. So this first bin is mostly textile, things such as blouses, bathing suits, hats, and pajama wear, and I am going to be keeping the hats. So if you are curious about what I'm keeping, let me know in the comments, and if so, I will include it in part 2 of this room transformation. And this next bin is home decor, from ceramic figurines to vintage glassware. And I'm going to be keeping the vintage milk glass cups and a set of royal frog figurines. Oh, and a couple of vintage belt buckles for my son. And this next bin is a bunch of belts, dog collars, and ties, none of which I'm keeping. And this ceramic bird is also going. The next bin is full of clutches and travel bags, also not keeping. The next bin is full of mugs and tumblers, and I'll be keeping a couple of those. And I think on this last shelf here is all ceramic decor. And I end up keeping a decorative bowl, the kind that you put at the entryway and throw your keys in. But other than that, that is it for this shelf. So now I'm going to take this shelf and bring it to the end of the hall and put all the things that I'm not keeping back on the shelves in that hall. All right, on to the next set of shelves. On the first 3 set of shelves is a mix of toys, games, phone accessories, and some small miscellaneous things. And then on the bottom shelf, there's a bag full of clothes, but it was so stuffed full that I'm going to have to go through it another time. And then the rest are more valuable things, such as sports memorabilia, fine china, and high-end decor. For now, I've set aside the clothing that I need to go through and all of the more valuable stuff. All right, on to the last set of shelves. Here we have some larger decor, and all I'm taking is a tin vase that I absolutely love, but I didn't have a place for it, so I might actually use it in this room in the future. The next bin is also decor, mostly artwork and wall hangings. These next 2 bins are mostly toys, puzzles, and plushies. The 3 smaller containers have jewelry and accessories in it. And the last shelf has very, very high-end decor, which I will be keeping for now, but I probably will be sending them to a consignment store, along with some of the fine china that I have. Last but not least is some books and DVDs, all of which of course are going out of here. And I want to vacuum where all the shelves were and then start moving this bed frame. But first, let's move all these keepers to the other side of the room for now. So this room is pretty small, and there's only really two places I can put this bed, either where it is under the window or along this back wall. I may decide to change it later, but Morgan has a lot of furniture in here, so I need to be able to make room for most of the furniture that I'm going to be putting back. And for now, the best option is this back wall. So now that I have this bed in place, I'm going to be playing around with the furniture a bit. There are two nightstands, two small bookshelves, and two very large bookshelves that I need to figure out. Oh, and then there's this lamp, which to this day I still don't know what to do with. But like I said, most of the stuff is just being stored in here temporarily. The only thing that's really going to stay is this bed and maybe a few other items. But for now, I'm just trying to stage this room the best I can with what I got. So the second nightstand is pretty wide, so I decided to put the smaller nightstand next to the bookshelf. That way I can have more walking room on the right side of the bed. And since there are two of those corner bookshelves, they are pretty big and take up a lot of space. So I'm only going to leave one of the bookshelves in the hallway for now. And the corner that's on now is the only corner I can put it in this room. Now there is another bookshelf in here, but it's behind the door, and there is a closet right behind it, which the shelf makes it almost impossible to open that door. So instead of this little white bookshelf under the window, I'm going to go ahead and swap the white one with the pink one. Now, I know you see that pile in that awkward little hall space, and we will get to that. But first, I have a few items in this closet that are mine and Ryan's that we were storing in here. And since Morgan already had some stuff stored in here as well, I'm going to go ahead and utilize that for more storage for her stuff. Morgan has three little carts, which I was hoping all three would fit along with these pictures, but unfortunately this closet is very tiny, so I'm going to do my best to put as much as I can in here. And if you're wondering what that little chirping is, those are her dogs barking. All right, that is all that she will fit. And although not ideal, I'm going to go ahead and put the cart behind here along with that awkward lamp. But at least they're easy to slide out of the way when she needs to get in there. Now in the second closet, that is mostly all my packing supplies and office supplies, which I will for now be using this as a storage. But first I want to clear it out and install one of those shelves that I was using for the inventory. All right, now that I have this all cleared out, I'm going to try to put this shelf in here, but I couldn't get it through the door. So I have to take it apart and reinstall it. But luckily, once it was in, it was the perfect size. Now that that's all done, we're going to start putting everything that I'm definitely going to be storing in this room for the time being. Starting with some of these more valuable pieces, I don't have the proper storage boxes for them, and with having a plethora of animals, I rather keep them stored in here. So all the boxes I'm putting up high are mostly empty, and I didn't realize it was out of view of the camera, so I apologize for that. But for now, this is just a rough organization, and I'm just trying to figure out what is staying and what is going. So next time we will be getting back in here and organizing it a lot better than it is now. This little hall is so small and so awkward, I have no idea what to do with it. It's too narrow to put shelves, and at the end is a window, so I can't really put a whole lot of furniture in front of it. So if you have any ideas, go ahead and shoot them down in the comments. So as you can see, there was still quite a bit of stuff in that little haul, but I pretty much got everything out of there that I wanted to store in the closet. So I'm going to switch over to my office supplies and packing supplies and separate it from keeping and going so I can start making some space to clear out that little haul. So for the most part, this bin is full of inventory, but I did shove it in the corner and stack a bunch of stuff on top of it. So I'm just separating out that stuff from the inventory, which was pretty easy because most of the stuff was Halloween or Christmas decor. And I personally don't decorate anymore, and I don't celebrate Halloween, so none of that is going to stay. Other than Christmas, I've never really been the type to decorate for the seasons or for the holidays, although I do love seeing everybody else's decor. I personally couldn't ever justify spending that kind of money on decor, especially because when my kids were young, we were never home. We spent most of our time either I was working, kids were in school, and when we weren't at home or school, we were spending most of our time outside. We did live on the coast of California, so we were either at the beach, at the park, taking trips up to the mountain or to the desert, but we rarely spent any time in the house. And if you live in California or ever lived in California, you know the cost of living is super high, so I just couldn't see us spending money on things we didn't thoroughly enjoy. And as for Christmas, I'm at the stage of life where my kids are grown and we live 1,400 miles apart, and I'd rather spend money on nicer gifts for my older children than buying decor that I can't use all year round. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but it works for me. So a few of these boxes in the hall are Ryan's. I had him go through the closet and declutter as much as possible, but he still doesn't want to get rid of any of it. So until I can convince him otherwise, I'm going to have to find another place to store it. But I'm running out of steam and my back is really starting to hurt. So for the rest of the stuff in the hallway, I'm just kind of separating what is obviously leaving, and the rest I'm going to have to go through another day. But I do want to clear out this hall and vacuum it up and then get as much as I can stored in the closet, which in hindsight, I should have stopped right here because boy, am I paying for it now. My back is pretty much out of commission. Luckily, not at the point where I can't walk, but I am definitely in a lot of pain. And this is where I hear Ryan in my ear, don't go overdoing it. But I was so excited to start on this room, and seeing all the progress I was making, it was really hard to find a stopping point. Let me tell you about this screen here. So when we bought the house, the previous owner said that they had screens for the windows, but they had them off and they were willing to reinstall the screens, but they decided to put all the screens in all the wrong places. In my son's room, there is no screen. In this room, there are two screens, one on the side of the window that opens and one on the side of the window that doesn't. And in Morgan's old room, the screen is on the side of the window that doesn't open. So I attempted to try to put the screens back where they belong, but they are nearly impossible to take off and even more impossible to put back in. So I'm pretty sure we'll have to replace all the screens on the second story. And it kind of feels like the previous owner was being petty when we requested that he put the screens back on. I don't know. What do you think? All right, we are finally done with this closet and at a stopping point. There is a ton more to do, but at least now you can walk into the room. Remember where we started from? This room was packed from wall to wall and almost from floor to ceiling. We literally had a 2x4 walking space in this room, but we got everything out that needs to be out, and everything else is being staged temporarily as a guest room. But do stay tuned for part 2 when we come back in here, get everything better organized, and adding the final touches. Plus, we'll be working in the hallway, getting it all cleared out from all the stuff that was in here, which I'll show you the hallway in just a second. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and come say hello in the comments. All the engagement really helps my channel out, and I still am pretty new at this, so I can only improve from here. And my channel doesn't go anywhere without you. So stick around, share it out to a friend, and help me expand this little community. And as always, I so appreciate you spending your time with me here today. You guys are the absolute best. I love you, and until next time, bye. Welcome back to Tidy Up Texan, or welcome if you're new. I'm Nicole, and we're back in my office for part 2 of organizing the chaos, transforming my office to a guest room. We started off with emptying out all of my inventory, organizing the closets, and started arranging the furniture. So I plan to transfer all of my inventory into boxes and using the bins to store things that I want to keep. But as of right now, I don't have any boxes. But I do need a few of these bins, so I'm going to start condensing some of these so I can go back into the closet and start organizing the things that I'm storing in that closet for now. And once I'm done organizing the closet, the fun stuff begins. I'm going to be playing with the arrangement in the room, hanging up some curtains, and putting the final touches. And you guys, I am so pleased with the results. It came out so much better than I imagined. But as for the inventory, I decided that I am going to just store everything for our future garage sale. Brian and I discussed when the weather cools down, we are going to head down to the warehouse and start getting that organized and preparing for a huge garage sale in the spring. I was hoping to get the hallway completely cleared out, but the nearest major hardware store that would carry boxes is over an hour away. So I decided I'm just going to wait until our next trip into town to start packing everything up, which is not a big deal because we really don't use this hallway. If you are new here, I want to welcome you. I am fairly new to YouTube. I started this channel back in December. I am a mom of 2 grown sons. I am a former professional carpet cleaner, and now I am a disabled homemaker due to several back injuries. So everything I do is in small increments. So I really have to be mindful of how much I do. So although with the magic of editing, you don't see all the breaks I have to take. For instance, this haul was the first task, and then I had to take a long break to rest my back before I head back into this room and start the next task. And as for our household, my kids are back in our home state of California. My youngest, who is 18 now, does come and visit us twice a year for a few weeks at a time. We have myself, Ryan, the love of my life, and his sister Morgan, and we have a temporary guest who is renting one of the guest rooms, which used to be Morgan's room. We have a plethora of animals. Ryan and I have 3 dogs and 4 cats. Morgan has also 3 dogs and 3 cats, and our guest has 1 dog, 1 cat. We originally bought this house with my mother-in-law, who has recently passed away. My mother-in-law was disabled and in a wheelchair and occupied the master on the main floor. So since her passing, Morgan has taken over her old room. So most of the furniture you see in here is Morgan's, with the exception of the bed, and she is still in the process of making room for the rest of her stuff that she left upstairs. And although her new room is quite a bit larger than her last room, we also have a 2-bedroom apartment in the warehouse, which we had designated for her, but we had a huge storm and the roof blew off and completely destroyed the apartment. So not only does she have things in the upstairs bedroom, but she also has an apartment full of things that she's trying to transfer into her new room. So for now, I'm just using what she has left upstairs to stage this guest room. So right now I'm transferring all of Ryan's things into a bin. I'll be transferring as much as I can of my office supplies into a couple of bins, and I'm also going to declutter a few things. So, if you're somebody like me who has physical limitations due to injuries or illnesses, anxiety, or even ADHD, I always say do what you can when you can. I knew in this room I would have to split it up into many different tasks, working in small, manageable sections. In last week's video, I pushed a little further than my body would allow, and boy, did I have to pay for it. I was pretty much down and out for 4 days. But once I got started in here and started to see all the progress, I had a hard time finding a stopping point. So this time, I'm really listening to my body and taking more breaks than I did last time. And as you'll see from my wardrobe change, this was not done in one day. I apologize for all the barking and howling in the background. Our new guest dog is still adjusting to his new surroundings, and I know he hears all the commotion I'm making. So he's been beside himself for this whole video, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to get as much of my office supplies as I can in these two bins. A lot of this stuff is small odds and ends, which I will eventually need to go through, but that is a lot more tedious, and I'm not trying to do all that. So this closet here, we do want to keep it as storage for things that we want easy access to. And if you saw part one, you know the other closet has all of Morgan's stuff, which will be removed eventually. So that closet will be for our family and friends to use when they come to visit. All right, moving on to the luggage. I do travel quite often, but since they started charging for carry on, and Ryan and I don't really travel at the same time due to all of our animals, we don't really need two luggages anymore. And one of them's pretty beat up, anyways, so that one I am decluttering. In this other suitcase, I have a backpack that is well loved and it is time to let go of. And as for our travel bags, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the suitcase. We mostly use the travel bags for our road trips. And I just went on a road trip with my son last month, so I have a couple more bags I need to add to that suitcase. I have a bunch of packing supplies I'm just not sure what to do with, so I'm going to go ahead and store them in here for now. I may just add them to the stuff that we're going to sell, but we shall see. We are just about done with this closet. I have a few valuable and fragile items I need to store in here to keep away from the animals. I do plan to send these items to a consignment store. The nearest consignment store is a couple hours away, but I need to get the proper packing material before I take them that far away. And the last thing I need to do in this closet is to declutter some of these boxes. All right, this closet is finally organized. Everything is easy to find and the access removed. We are making progress, guys. And this is all the stuff that I am decluttering from the closet and will be going straight to the trash. And now we're going to move on to the dormer window, this small awkward hall. It's very narrow, and I wasn't sure what to do with it. It just seemed too small to put furniture, but I decided I'm going to try out the little bookshelves around the room and see if it will fit, which will help clear up some space in the actual room because right now the room is visually very cluttered and it's driving me crazy. It turns out these bookshelves are perfect for this little haul. And as you can see from the pink bookshelf, Morgan has been coming up here and starting to remove her things. And I'm hoping for her, because she has severe ADHD, by separating all the furniture, it will make it easier for her to go through her stuff little at a time and not be so overwhelmed seeing all of her stuff clumped all into one area, making the transition a lot easier. So there's only two places I could put this bed, along that wall and then under the window. And I was hoping by putting the bed along the wall, it would create more walking space, but I hate it. And as you can see, I put the mattress from the Murphy bed downstairs on here temporarily. And this mattress is extremely comfortable, but I still need to get a much thicker mattress for this bed. It is just way too low to the ground. So over time, I'm going to be purchasing a new mattress, a nightstand, probably a little round table and chair, and maybe a tall dresser for this room. But again, I am just using what we have for now. That already feels so much better. I don't really like having the bed under the window because we are in Texas and the weather can be really scary, especially when we have hail and tornado threats. But I don't anticipate any of our guests staying during those times of the year, so I think I can overlook it this time. Now that I've got the furniture mostly put where I want it, it's starting to feel so much more peaceful and calm in here. But when I tried moving the lamp over here, it just started feeling heavy again. So that will not be staying in that corner. But before I decide where I'm going to put it, I'm going to install some drapes. Unfortunately, I didn't have a rod that went across the entire window. The rods and the drapes that I'm using used to be in my mother in law's room. They're not in terrible shape, but they do need to be replaced eventually. But for the time being, they'll work for now. In hindsight, I should have grabbed the ladder to install these drapes because the step stool just wasn't cutting it. So although I was able to install one side of the drapes, I needed to call Ryan to come up and help me with the second set of drapes. I was trying to decide where I should put this rod, making it completely decorative where it's just going to cover the sides of the window, or try to get it to where I can close the drapes as best as I can with having two rods. And I decided I'm going to go ahead and install it to where I can close the drapes as best I can because it gets really, really hot in this room when the sun shines in. once I started putting the drapes up on this side and then tried to start on the next side, I decided, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. So I called Ryan up and had him install the rest. And unlike most husbands, my husband, he loves to be part of my videos, but he can be quite inappropriate. So I don't allow him to be in my videos very often. But he is the opposite of me. He is very, very outgoing, has zero filter, and loves to lovingly antagonize me. But in the future, we are planning to do a channel together. And because of his sparkling personality, he will be the star of the show. But once I get to the point of being monetized on this channel, because I do not have an income whatsoever, I don't collect disability, and I am no longer in my resale business. But once I'm able to contribute more financially, Ryan and I want to start a new resale business together and be able to document our journey here on YouTube. But again, I am still new at this. I am not monetized, and I know it's going to take a couple of years for me to get to the position where we can do this. But yeah, that is one of our plans for the future, where he will be the star of the show. I was trying to get him to make this as level as possible, and it did not come out that way the first time. The left side was way too high, but not to worry, it got fixed. We finally got it figured out, and I am very pleased with the drapes so far. So now I can move on to organizing the rest of the clutter, figuring out where I should put everything, and still make this room feel inviting. And as you can see, the windowsill and the pink nightstand had a lot going on. I had to play around with the decor a little bit before I landed on what felt right. We had some internet boxes in the windowsill, so I'm just going to move those over and hide them behind the curtain. And after pondering for a while what I should do with that tall pink lamp, I decided I'm going to add it with the bookshelves. And while I was over here, I wanted to organize this pink bookshelf a little bit better than it is now. But everything on this bookshelf seemed like it was broken. There wasn't much on here anymore, so we're just going to tidy it up a little. All right, I think this section is fully complete. But once Morgan comes back in here and takes this stuff out, I have decided that I'm going to purchase a small desk or a makeup station. And I think that will give my guests a place to get ready or be able to work in that space. But let's move on to this bed. Another item I do need to purchase is new bedding. But I do have an extra blanket that belongs on my bed. It is for a king size bed, but oddly enough, it fits perfectly on this bed. I feel like these days the beds are getting bigger, but the bedding is not. The blankets barely drape over the top mattress, where I feel like it used to drape over not only the mattress but the box spring. Do any of you have this problem? Because unless it's custom made, it's just not fitting right anymore. This bookshelf is packed full of stuff, and it is super overwhelming for me, so I'm going to clear it off as best I can. I'm not going to take everything off, but I want to make it look more intentional. But as I'm taking everything off, I'm putting it in categories, like items with like items. That way, when I start putting things back, I have a better idea of where I want to set everything or where it will fit. So this bookshelf, I have one identical to it in my room. I use mine as a dresser, but if you've never seen one, the left side of the shelves go all the way back to the back of the wall, and the shelves on the right butt up against the shelves on the left. And in this top left shelf is packed full of little boxes of figurines. So I'm going to organize that a little better and just take out the things that don't belong. The books on the bottom look like they are yearbooks, and they are much too tall for this shelf, so I'm going to stack them as nicely as I can, and eventually I end up pushing them all the way back and putting another set of books in front of it. I wasn't sure what was on the bottom shelf prior, but there was a lot of dirt down there, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and clean it. The rest of the shelf wasn't too bad, but I thought, what the heck, I'll just clean that too. So who here is into collectibles and decor? Because this girl here has a mountain full of decor and collectibles, and I am not exaggerating when I say a mountain. We have a 3,600 square foot warehouse, and I would say about 40% of our warehouse is filled with decor and collectibles. But I give her a tiny bit of grace because not all of it was hers. A lot of it was inherited from her grandmother, but it is beyond obsessive. But I think she's finally at a breaking point where she is getting rid of a lot of her collectibles and is willing to get rid of a lot of her grandmother's decor. As you can see, I'm trying to keep as many like items together and try not to overcrowd each shelf. But easier said than done when you have so much stuff. But as you can see, it takes a lot of tinkering to be able to get it to where it flows nicely. There was a few items that wouldn't fit inside the shelves, so I'm going to do my best to arrange it to where it looks as intentional as possible. And on the last shelf, we are going to put the remainder of the books, and then that will be all she wrote. All right, we are finally done. If you remember in part one, what we started with, the room was filled wall to wall and almost from floor to ceiling. We had all of my inventory in here, office supplies, things we were storing in here, and then we had to empty out Morgan's room and temporarily store it in my office, which resulted in chaos. You can barely walk in here. But then we started clearing out the room, permanently removing all of my inventory, and start staging this room as a guest room. We made so much progress, slowly transforming the chaos to calm, but I am so proud of the final result, and I hope that you have enjoyed the process with me. And if you have a chaotic room that you want to transform, I hope that I have inspired you and motivated you to go ahead and get started on your big project. So if you've enjoyed, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. This channel goes nowhere without you, and you are what keeps me going. So I thank you, I love you, and I will see you on the next one. Until next time, bye! Welcome back, friends, or welcome if you are new. I'm Nicole, and today we have a ton of cleaning motivation, lots and lots of laundry, and a little announcement I will get to later on in the video. But if your home is looking a little lived in, same. Let's tackle it step by step. I'll clean, you clean, and by the end, we'll both feel so much better. First, let's start with tidying up the room and picking up all the laundry that needs to be done. As you may know, I did not post a video last week. I have been having such a hard time sleeping, and because of that, the laundry has backed up. So I have at least 6 loads to tackle today. And spoiler, I did not get all of it done in one day, but I was able to get all of the bedding done on this day, which was high on my priority list, being that we have so many animals that love to lay on our bed like they own the place. But it's okay because I make them pay rent. The cost of rent, lots of snuggles, and lots of kisses. All right, we got the room tidied up for the most part. Now let's pull the bedding off and get that started. And as usual, we have somebody in the bed, little Miss Lily, and she is my laundry buddy. Laundry is her favorite thing to do with me. I didn't show it today, but every time we head down to the laundry room, she proudly prances past her brothers on our way to the laundry room. And it is the funniest but cutest thing ever. It's almost like she's telling her brothers, "This is my time with my mama." It cracks us up every time. So I want to know, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you host? Did you go with family or friends? Did you go out of town or on a trip? Or was it something intimate like ours? We have no other friends or family in the area, so it was just us in the household. And it was so nice because this year my son and his girlfriend just moved here from California. And instead of just the 3 of us, well, 4 last year, my brother-in-law, who unfortunately passed this year, but now there was 5 of us, which was so nice. We moved our formal dining room into the living room and watched a movie while we had Thanksgiving dinner. And Ryan and Morgan were the cooks. And if you've been here for a while, you know I don't cook. Although I have made lots of Thanksgivings in the past. Back when my kids were little, even though my ex-husband was a cook, I was the one doing Thanksgiving dinners. Usually it was every other year because my family would usually host every other year, which was nice because it was like a family reunion. But now half my family has moved out of California and has spread out throughout the country. But we still had a great Thanksgiving. I wish my youngest could have been here, but he started his very first job and won't be able to travel as much as he used to. All right, I've got the laundry going, and now it's time to feed these hounds. Lily already got fed, so now it's the boys' turn. This is my boy Parker. He is a Shepherd Husky mix, about 7 years old, and he is just the biggest, best boy ever. And this is Apollo. He is a Husky Lab mix, 5 years old. He is our first dog. We got him when he was 9 months old, and boy, was he trouble when we first got him. But he has grown into a really great dog. He is a big lover boy and wants to be friends with everybody. All right, now I'm going to be switching out these loads, and then Ryan and I are going to take out the garbage, hauling them to the bins at the front of the property, where I will then share with you my little announcement. All right, now it's time to pull out the garbage from the garage and head to the bin. So I am so excited to announce that I have launched my very first merch store. where I have created this shop as an extension of my Clean With Me YouTube channel, featuring my tidy up Texan style and personality, from playful cleaning quotes to Texas inspired designs, everything from t-shirts, hoodies, totes, and more. So if you'd like to support the channel, you can either scan the QR code or click the link in my description. Oh, and if you shop between now and December 11th, you will get 25% off your purchase. But yeah, I am so excited about the store and I can't wait for y'all to check it out. And of course, any feedback is appreciated. All right, now that we got all the trash taken out, Ryan wanted to tackle a little yard work. And usually I'd be out there pushing the mower, but I was still sore from pushing the mower a couple of days ago. So I just got a little footage of Ryan starting the yard work. All right, while he's doing that, I'm going to get back to doing the laundry. I like to get the folding done right here in the laundry room. For some reason, standing up folding laundry is a lot easier on my back than having to sit down and fold it. Plus, folding from the dryer usually keeps everything from wrinkling. It's a long truck from the laundry room to the house, so doing it here just makes more sense for me. Folding fitted sheets is not the business, and this is going back onto the bed anyways, so I'm just going to do a little light folding. And as for the comforter, it did not get as dry as I had hoped it would, and I'd usually hang it up over the deck out in the sun, but today was not a sunny day, and Texas finally got its first cold front. So temperatures are in the high 40s today, so I'm going to have to lay this out in the house to dry. It was starting to get a little later in the day when all this was finished. So although I got these 4 loads done, it was just getting too dark to film. Unfortunately, the lights in this room are burnt out, so I wasn't able to film anymore from this point on. As you can see, I got all the bedding put on last night, and I still have a couple more loads of laundry to do. But first, I want to start out with tidying up in here, making the bed or remaking the bed, and putting last night's mess away before we finish the laundry. I always like to start with my morning off with lighting my candle. This one is in the scent cranberry mandarin, and it just makes the room smell so fresh and clean. So, does anybody else have to work around their animals' sleeping schedule? If I don't let these guys nap and I get up and do stuff, they follow me around and then they get grumpy for the rest of the day. But I do need to put that laundry there away, and then I still got 2 more loads of laundry to wash. So while they nap, I like to watch my favorite cleaning YouTube channels as well. And then once these guys are done with their nap, I will get back to my laundry. So while these guys were napping, my son calls me and tells me that Morgan's corgis got out of the gate from downstairs and decided to go in front of my door and go to the bathroom there. So this is what I'm doing, cleaning up after the animals in the hallway. My son had tried to wipe it up with a soapy towel, so I'm just going over it with clean water, basically just to pull up all the soap. And I've said this before, we are replacing this carpet. It is damaged, not only from our animals, but from the previous owner's animals. So I'm not too worried about trying to get these stains out. I already know they are not coming out. I'm going over this multiple times with dry passes, making sure I get out as much moisture as possible. And I know it looks like I have a huge stain in front of the camera, but that is actually the camera casting a shadow on the carpet. But now that that's done, I can finally switch gears and get this laundry put away. And my least favorite thing to do is hanging. But Ryan does like his work clothes to be hung, so what my honey likes is what my honey gets. There wasn't too much to hang anyways, but once I get the last load done, unfortunately for me, I got some more hanging to do. So hanging up the pants is pretty easy. It's down low, but for the shirts, it is up high and I cannot reach. But luckily this closet system came with a little hook, so short people like me can hang things up. But for my 6'7" giant, he has no problem reaching up there. It's actually at the perfect height for him. The bedding took up most of the room in the wash, so there wasn't a whole lot left to put away. So out of the 4 loads that I did the day before, I really only had to put less than 2 loads away. And then for the next 2 loads, half of those are towels, so those are easy. And as you can see, the majority of the stuff I'm putting away is all Ryan's. My wardrobe is so limited. In fact, the sweats that I have on aren't even mine. They are Ryan's. They are actually too small for him and still pretty big on me. But this day was super cold. It was highs at the low 30s and I was freezing. But I really don't have a lot of clothes. I've never been the type who likes to shop. And because I'm so short, it's hard to find clothes that fit me anyways. So I pretty much buy multiples of the same exact thing. This little seating area over here, this is strictly for the animals and for looks. We don't ever sit here, so there's always a ton of fur, and I have to do this multiple times every week. All right, finally going to get the last two loads done. And as you can see, I already started the first load. I'm switching it over to the dryer, which I had planned to film, but I brought everything down except for my phone, which I film on. When I reached into my pocket to pull out my phone, it was not there, and I wasn't about to run all the way back to the house upstairs and grab my phone to film the first portion of the laundry. So we're just gonna do this portion of the laundry, and we'll fold one more load, and then we'll call it a day. All right, now we can get some folding done. Switch out the last load into the dryer, and I was going to film the rest of the folding of the last load, but I decided it was getting too late, it was getting too dark, and at this point for me it starts to get boring. But I am so happy to finally get all of the laundry done, the whole 6 loads over the span of 2 days, getting to sleep in a nice clean bed in a nice clean room, at least until next time. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I so appreciate all your love and support, and I always appreciate when you guys come and say hello in the comments. That really means the world to me. Also, don't forget to check out my merch store. Again, link is in the description. But also, if you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button and come say hello in the comments. Let me know where you are watching from, turning on that notification. And if you are enjoying this video, hit that like button for me. It really helps out my channel. And I am trying to get my first 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is my goal. So every little interaction helps. Even sharing it out or copying the link are all little things that you can do to help push this channel out and help me get to my first 1,000 subscribers. Again, thank you all for spending your time here with me today. You guys are the absolute best. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video, and until next time, bye!